Hi! Today we will do a quick review on comparative and superlative adjectives. Let's look at the comparative first. Imagine that I have to choose between two universities, University A and University B. I chose some features that are important to me when I choose a school. We have student population, tuition, distance from home, and the IBT TOEFL score minimum. Looking at this chart, in terms of student population, A is smaller than B, or B is bigger than A. I like a school with less students, so far, University A is better. Next, tuition. How much it will cost every year. Wow, look at those prices. I cannot afford A. It is more expensive than B. In other words, B is cheaper than A. It seems that B is better. After this, I will look at how far these schools are from my home. I don't like driving, and there is a lot of traffic where I live. Wow, it seems A is farther than B. I like that B is closer. Lastly, I have to think about my TOEFL score. I don't have a high score. It seems that the TOEFL score requirement for A is higher than B. Since B's requirement is lower, maybe B will accept me. Overall, B seems like a better school for me. Let's review the comparative. We use the comparative when we compare two things or two people. In my case, I compared two schools. For adjectives with one syllable and some adjectives with two syllables, you add an ER to the adjective. Big becomes bigger. Spicy becomes spicier. Some two-syllable words are special. You would add more or less to the adjective. So careful becomes more careful or less careful. If there are three or more syllables, you would also add more or less to the adjective. For example, interesting. It becomes more interesting or less interesting. Finally, this is how you form a basic sentence pattern. X, be verb, comparative adjective, then Y. I have provided two examples. University A is smaller than University B. University B is cheaper than University A. Okay, some of you are thinking, well, what happens if I want to compare more than two things? Good question. Let's add one more school to our chart, University C. Now that I look at C and compare it to A and B, I can say that school C is the smallest school with 6,400 students. But the tuition, oh my gosh, C is the most expensive of the three universities. For distance, A is still the farthest school, and B is the closest. Lastly, B still has the lowest TOEFL score minimum. It seems that B is still the best for me. Now, you probably noticed that all the adjectives changed from ER to EST. This is the superlative. It is used when we compare three or more things. The rules for superlatives are similar to comparatives. Let's review this chart. For superlatives, if adjectives are one or two syllables, you just add EST to the end. For some two-syllable adjectives or three or more syllable adjectives, you would use most plus the adjective or least plus the adjective. Finally, When we want to make a sentence with the superlative, we do not use then. We would say X, be verb, the superlative adjective. It is very important to use the definite article the before the superlative. Oh, and there's one more thing. Yes, there are such things as irregular adjectives, good and bad. Instead of adding er, est, more or less, good becomes better and best. Bad becomes worse and worst. This is why you heard me say that B is better than A when I compared two universities, but B is also still the best when I compared 3 universities. One more example is far. The comparative becomes farther, and the superlative becomes farthest. I hope this review was helpful in reminding you of the differences between comparative and superlative adjectives.